What's going on, guys? It is Aiden from Two Left Hands, and today we're going to be breaking down the third test of the Gavaskar Border Trophy between India and Australia starting tomorrow at Indoor. This test is shaping up to be a really good one already. Obviously, the first big drama was the game wasn't even actually meant to be at Indoor, but obviously the pitch at Dharamsala needed some time to heal, therefore they had to move it. Personally, I actually think that makes it a better game because it adds a lot of aspects that we weren't originally going to get. So I'm going to list a couple off here. But first one I want to get out the way, and completely biased Australian opinion. And after getting smashed the last two games, you would think I wouldn't have this opinion, but I'm maintaining what little hope I have in the team because I generally think this is Australia's best chance to get a win. But before I do get lost in my delusion, let me list off the reasons why I'm interested without bringing any bias into it. So one of the main reasons is obviously there's very little history, especially in test match. There's only been two test match ever played, one in 2016 and one in 2019, India winning both of those. If you move over to the ODI format, there's only been, I think, 7 ODIs played, and India have won all of those as well. Now that I'm actually reading off those stats, it's making me put less hope into Australia. The second reason why this is going to be so interesting is unlike Nagpur, unlike Delhi, the pitch at Indoor is meant to play a lot differently. History has told us, or the very little history has told us, that this is actually more of a bouncy and more of a pacey wicket, although all wickets in India obviously going to be spin heavy, and by day 3 this probably will be breaking down completely and Ashwin will be turning right angles. But for the first few days it's actually meant to be a really good batting surface, and it's meant to do quite a bit for the pace bowlers as well. That should be interesting, and if the pitch does play to what history says, then that will actually benefit Australia a little bit more. And then you can come in and look at the facts for the series. So obviously India are 2-0 up at the moment. They're looking at a clean sweep. They're looking like doing it easy. They're playing with aggression. They're dominating with the bat, they're dominating with the ball. And then you obviously have Australia, who have been absolutely hammered the last two games. Their last 2 second innings have been scores of 91 and 113. So obviously they're feeling the pressure and under the pump. But at the same time, although they can't win the series, they actually only need one more win to get in the Test Championship final. So although they're getting absolutely pumped, they actually still have a lot to play for. And also the main thing is just hold a bit of pride. I mean, those last 2 second inning digs have been absolutely shocking, so they're going to be looking to come back and actually put in a good effort. And lastly, it looks like there's going to be changes in both sides. Obviously Australia are forced to make changes, but I suspect India will be making a change as well. But first, let's have a look at the pitch. So here are a couple of photos of the pitch, and although what I did say before still does apply, I think it will still offer a bit for the pace bowlers early on, and I still think it actually is going to be really good to bat on the first few days. And also look at that massive green patch of grass in the middle. I'm not sure how long that actually will last for. It is looking quite bare on either ends, just as we expected. I think it's going to turn a lot. There might be a bit for the pace bowlers early on, but it is again looking like a very spin heavy wicket. So it's going to be interesting to see if Australia play 2 or 3 spinners. I think at the end of the day, if you win the toss, they're definitely going to be batting first. You don't want to be batting fourth on this wicket. It will be breaking apart pretty early on. So definitely bat first. Just try bat time, try bat for as long as you can, put as many runs on the board as you can if possible, and that way ideally you don't even have to bat a second time. We'll have a look at India's team selection first, just because that is so easy to cover. I think majority of the players have easily kept their spot. They're pretty much all in form. Jadeja, Patel, Ashwin particular have been playing unreal with the ball and the bat. The only player that looks like is going to get swapped out is RAHUL. He's had scores of 20, 17 and 1. And although I do feel bad for him because his most recent dismissal was so unlucky, I mean, he absolutely middled it into Hanscom and it somehow stuck into him. So I do feel bad because I feel like that was really his last opportunity to make a big score, to put on some runs. He either needed to get a nod out or like a really good 50, and he just didn't do that. But at the end of the day, he's now had 81 innings. He's only averaging 33. He's also 30 years old, so he's not really getting any younger. And probably the biggest giveaway that I think he's not going to be in the side is that he's now not been named as vice captain for the next 2 tests. So if you didn't know, he was vice captain for test number 1 and 2, but they've now taken that off him, which leads me to suspect he will be dropped. And I think he's going to be dropped for Shubman Gill. I mean, the numbers speak for itself. The form speaks for itself. I think his first class average is 52. His ODI average is 73, which is actually the highest in the world at the moment. And he's only 23 years old. I mean, he's scoring runs for fun in all formats. He's striking the ball well. I mean, it just looks like he's doing it for fun at the moment. So I would be very, very surprised if he doesn't come in for Rahul. Maybe Rahul stays for one more test, but I feel like if he fails in the next one, he goes for sure. But I expect Gill to come back into the side for this test. Other than that, I think no changes at all. India stays the exact same. And then if we look at the Australian team, obviously they are going to have to make changes. So David Warner is out for the rest of the series. He is injured. Then Pat Cummins, his mum is ill and in palliative care, so he is flown back to be with her. So thoughts with him, but he will be out for the game as well. Then we have Hazelwood, who's actually not played a game, but he's just announced that he will not be playing a game. He is still injured and he's not going to be right. And then there's a few coming back from injury like Cameron Green and Mitchell Starc, who should both be available for selection, but we're not sure to what capabilities. I'm pretty sure Khawaja and Head will stay at the top of the order. Head did really well last dig and he scored 40 odd, but he put the pressure right back on the bowlers and he looked really, really good until he got out. Khawaja has been batting really, really well. He's probably been the only one that's actually played the sweep shot well. So he obviously keeps his spot up the top. Then you got Labuschagne and Smith, and although they're out of form, I mean, you can't really drop them. They're two of the best batsmen in the world at the moment. And then it gets a little bit tough. So I think Hanscom might go to 5, and it's only a matter of whether it's 5 or 6 for him. He's batted probably the best out of all the batsmen. Technically, he's looking a lot better and he's playing the ball really late, which is suiting the conditions in India. So I expect he gets moved up to 5, and then in at number 6 will be Cameron Green. So I think even if he doesn't really bowl a whole lot, I think they may just bring him in for his batting. I feel like Renshaw has had a couple of opportunities, hasn't really proved himself. And to be honest, we don't really have much batting depth. With David Warner now gone, we don't actually have many people to fill those spots. So I think with Cameron Green being so tall and being able to play off the front foot well, they're just going to throw him in the team whether he can bowl or not. And then for the bowlers, which is a little bit hard to pick this test, I'm not sure if they're going to go with 3 spinners or 2. It really just depends how the pitch is kind of looking on the day and what they're feeling. So I feel like Starc is a definite to come back into the side. And then you have Nathan Lyon and Todd Murphy, who I think are absolute givens as well. And then I feel like the last decision will either come down to whether they go back to pace again with 2 pace, 2 spins, and they'll go for Scott Boland, or whether they actually will stick with 3 spinners and stay with Matthew Kuhnemann. I suspect now that they're seeing the pitch a lot more and it is looking like it's going to be more spin friendly, that they will stick with the 3 spinners, but at the same time they may go back to Boland for Kuhnemann, but I expect Kuhnemann to keep his spot on the side and they're going to go with 3 spinners and then just have Mitchell Starc bowling pace and hopefully have Cameron Green put in some overs as well. And then finally for my quick final prediction. So I did say I think Australia has their best chance to win the game out of any game this series, but at the same time, in saying that, I do not think they're good enough to beat India on their home soil against Ashwin, against Jadeda, against Patel, against a team that bats so deep. So I'm expecting they may come their closest yet, but unfortunately, I still feel India are just too strong. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe below and also comment your predictions for the game.